We're excited, but I wanted to start in Seattle here with these underreactions. I do not want to underreact to how awesome the Super Bowl is going to be for their pair of 2023 first-round picks, who I take some sort of like mama bear credit in introducing them. Devin Witherspoon and Jackson Smith-Njigba did not know one another. We're in Kansas City at the draft, and it's already become truly one of the best draft day duos we've ever seen. They have a chance to fuel the team to a Lombardi in year 3, and they've combined for 5 Pro Bowls already in their early careers, 2 All-Pros. We might be adding an Offensive Player of the Year to that soon here as well. John Schneider landing both of these guys in the same draft. This is really looking like an all-time heist for that grizzly John Schneider, who I need to get on the show. I can't figure out how JSN was even available at pick 20 looking back. How is this kid around at pick 20? The guy who Tom Brady says is like a figure skater out there with these beautiful routes and his body and all the things and his abilities and skills. That's besides the point, though. The point is that they're both in Seattle and has been absolute magic. And it is personal to me, and it's all about me. Because back in 2023... feels like a true lifetime ago. Morning of the draft, 2 prospects came by the show, and they happened to be these 2 future Seahawks. First, I got to meet JSN. I was so excited. We talked about, like, oh, this night you're going to walk across the stage. What will that be like? And, you know, Garrett Wilson told me that JSN's going to be better than him, and Chris Olave. And I had the chance to meet a very earnest, serious young man whose life was about to change. And as he was leaving the stage, I introduced him to another kid I was going to have on the show with no agenda, no team to him yet, and that was Devin Witherspoon. As he sat down and we talked about how he loves to hit people, and I remember he loves to talk trash. I loved both of these players. I loved both of their souls, I guess you could say. As you can see, I'm like eating up what they have to say. It was great. And of course, none of us knew at the time what was about to happen 2 years later, but this is like my personal attachment and fandom to them because Devin, of course, goes 5th overall. I remember him being so juiced. Look at him watching the Seahawks take JSN at 20. He's so excited. They met hours earlier on my set, and if that wasn't enough, I did get to sit down, thank you, with both of them last Super Bowl. I think they were there on behalf of Bounty as besties. We reflected on this, and I watched the interview back with my producer, Brian, here earlier this week. I believe we were blessed enough to have the Lombardi trophy on set, as we do from time to time, and this sort of got me in my feels. What would it mean to you guys to get to hoist this and touch this one day? It's 7 pounds.
I couldn't even describe the feeling. I just can't wait to when it's my turn.
Have you visualized it? How much thought do you put into that moment?
Put a lot of thought to it. That's the reason why we can work hard in the off season. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why teams trade and try to sign different people, you know, to be the best team so we go out there and win that trophy.
You know, I love the game, and I feel like my teammates can feel that. And, you know, I'm going to give everything, you know, to this organization to, you know, get one of those.
This is less than a year ago. It feels like destiny. I remember asking them both, you're so young, you're ready to inherit the targets left by Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. How are you going to do that? And Witherspoon, and I could not be more excited for them or proud to have gotten to know them right after the very start of their NFL journeys together. It really feels so special, and we'll see if they get to hoist that 7-pound Lombardi at the end of next week. Okay, next up, based off of the cruel mistress that is the internet and these comments that I've gotten about Drake Maye and Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and how they're carried by their defenses and all this drama, we are underreacting to the fact, y'all, that every quarterback that has ever won anything has had a good defense. We need to stop using this stupid, well, he ought to grow defense. That is not a point to take and discredit a quarterback in the National Football League, because there have been plenty of quarterbacks with great defenses who haven't won a damn thing. But there aren't many quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls without top defenses. I'm going to prove it, so you can't argue me, but you will anyway. To put it into perspective, take a look at this. This is every quarterback who has won multiple rings. There are 13 of them. The greatest of the great are on this list. You cannot argue that. These 13 dudes have combined for a whopping 37 rings. Only 5 of those rings came without a top 10 scoring defense. Dost thou understand? Are you smart enough to understand what I'm saying? Brady, Montana, Bradshaw, Aikman, Big Ben, Elway, even all the way back to Bart Starr. They're the biggest legends to ever play the position. None of those guys won a single ring without a top-tier defense. Does that mean they don't deserve credit for winning, question marks? Question mark? Question marks? Here's what's even crazier. Come down this whirlwind with me, this tunnel. Of those 5 who won without a top defense, it's miraculously and like an anomaly. Eli's 2 were among those. Peyton's first one came with defenses that ranked in the bottom half of the league, which is so insane. It's like such an anomaly. They deserve so much credit for that. Even those defenses had Hall of Famers on them who had game-changing plays, though, right? You had Strahan, Dwight Freeney, anyone like that happens. I feel like we have we're just miserable people. We have lost the plot entirely, and this should be obvious, but apparently isn't anymore, so I'm going to say it. Being a great quarterback is ultimately about figuring out what your team needs you to do to win the game and not also lose the game, okay? Manage the game. It's a good thing, and sometimes, yes, that's throwing for a gazillion yards. We've seen it. Sometimes it's knowing when to rein it in and let other things work themselves out and make plays when you can. Check the ball down. Play it safe. Tom Brady, literally the GOAT of this. He was the best at that, and that's why he has 7 rings. Can you deny? Like, you're going to say he got carried those first couple? Like, what? And so when it comes to Drake Maye, at 23 years young, I'm very impressed with his ability to do what Tom Brady did, what Patrick Mahomes hath done, those other quarterbacks you saw on that list. We know he's got big game in him. We know he's got big throws in him. He has shown it all this year, and that is why he is an MVP finalist. End of story. Quickly to Josh McDaniels. Woo, this is really wordy. Okay, but I want to get this out. We talked about, I have a producer on my show named Cal Filson, and he grew up a Patriots fan. And obviously the Patriots are near and dear to my heart. They gave me my first, taste of greatness in the NFL and reeled me in and gave me an opportunity. And I have a real soft spot in my heart for these Patriots. Seattle, oh my gosh, Seattle Patriots is like my favorite Super Bowl. It was unbelievable to me. But we got to thinking, Cal and I in Hamilton, about Josh McDaniels. And one of the reasons that Drake Maye manages these games so well, because he has the OC who's been there and done that thing so many times. We are underreacting to this being Josh McDaniels' 9th Super Bowl appearance. 9, you guys. I think a win in this one puts him into the conversation with the greatest offensive play callers that we've ever seen in this league. This guy who started with the Pats, this guy right here, no visor, I hardly recognize him. He starts with the Pats. He's a personnel assistant. This is 2001, y'all. He had a shot at ring number 7, right, this next weekend. That's insane. Ring number 7. This puts him in the most impressive career arc ever. Take a look, and let me make this clear. I am not diminishing any of his accomplishments in any other season. Anyone you talk to that played under him in New England, top to bottom, will tell you what he has meant to that team, those teams that have cashed in. But to the public at large, Tom Brady and Belichick are always going to get the bulk of the credit. And maybe they should. Maybe Kraft gets a little credit, but it's, you always have that, but you had Brady, but you... Fair or not, Josh has been a divisive figure in this league after things did not work out in Denver, after things did not work out in Vegas. But what he's done this year is so impressive. We're not going to underreact to it going into this. To help Drake Maye make the jump from talented rookie to MVP candidate, to take this offense from bottom 3 to top 3 in the span of a year, he has become undeniable, right? We can all give that to him. He doesn't have a cast of established all-pros either. I don't think McDaniels or Drake have gotten enough credit with the way he's helped draw the best out of guys on this roster, okay? The man knows how to coach an offense, a Super Bowl winning big moment offense. And whatever happened as a head coach doesn't diminish what he's been able to contribute and lead with these teams. Vrabel, phenomenal head coach. This team is not here if we didn't bring McDaniels back as well. Ultimately, this game will come down to Drake's ability to handle a swarming Seahawks defense. Mr. Hamilton dug into the numbers like the sick pup that he is. And this might come as a surprise to some people, but Drake has been, I'm gonna get it on Twitter. Drake's been the best quarterback in the whole league this year under pressure. I just don't believe me? Read it and weep. Drake has thrown for the most yards, the most touchdowns of any quarterback this season when under pressure. The highest completion percentage and quarterback rating as well. The rating's actually the second highest we've seen in the entire decade that Next Gen Stats have been tracking this stuff. So, this is historically great. Exclamation point. And he's dealt with a lot of it, by the way. Drake has faced the highest volume of pressure of any quarterback not named Justin Herbert, who gets licked every 3 seconds. The part of it scares me up against the Seahawks defense is this: the O-line cannot let those Seattle pass rushers live in the backfield. The fact that Drake handles the smoke so well gives me some confidence that's going to play huge. That being said, this Seahawks defense, the way that I've been thinking about it, they're just a little different animal. You know, the dark side might end up taking its place in history alongside the Legion of Boom, the Monsters of the Midway, the Steel Curtain. We're looking at and should enjoy a truly iconic defense, and it really is because the secondary is very special, very standout. It'll be remembered, and they're really unique. I mean, we got the rookies. We've got, obviously the guys who've been on our show. Yeah. I'm feeling this. The more I think about it, the more I think it'll be a low-scoring game. As we continue here, we've got Devin Witherspoon, first All-Pro nod this year, PBUs on both 3rd and 4th to shut the Rams' comeback attempt on Sunday. He's super physical. Nick's getting the attention, Kobe Bryant, Julian Love. Everyone here is really reliable. Like, I feel good about them. And there's some guys that are really, setting my expectations high for this one to get a nice little situation off of Drake Maye. Reek has fallen out of favor, it feels like, since last year somehow. There were rumors at the trade deadline. So look at how amazing he's been, and such a thunderbolt, too. Like, when I was at Packers training camp to end my training camp tour and they got in that brouhaha with Tucker Kraft and this defense, it was really Woolen that was the emotional heartbeat of that fight, and he's been that all season long. But in this, stretch to the Super Bowl, 6th lowest completion percentage in the entire league allowed. And then the formerly undrafted Josh Jobe, who's been a full-time starter and ranks 4th in the same category, as you just saw, it's Stingley and then it's him, and he's just below him. So as I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going to happen, what I think the score is going to be before, telling you my thoughts as you head to FanDuel each day and hopefully hang out and have some fun there. Drake and Josh McDaniels, I don't know. They got to have some sort of lightsaber, good Yoda, Skywalker-y stuff happening, because this dark side might take this thing over. And it would not, if they do, it won't be pretty. It'll be real ugly, actually. Here's what I want you to know. Sam Darnold is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Don't, with your arrows and your pitchforks and your bow and arrow, shh. Your Bart Simpson slingshots, stuff it, okay? There's this big game narrative. It is officially deaded. Hallelujah. It's great to see. Over the last 2 years, with 2 different teams, mind you, Darnold has won more games than any quarterback in the NFL. He's a winner. He's 3rd in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns. Any way you slice this thing, he's been one of the best quarterbacks we have in the league. Top 10. No matter what happens next Sunday, that he is top 10. This is now a big enough sample size, y'all, a complete body of work. He's established himself in the upper echelon, the top 3rd of the league. And I want to show you this, too. Even when you include that disastrous game from last year, he's still the 3rd highest rated passer over the last 2 postseasons. This year, he became one of just 7 quarterbacks over the past decade to have at least 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions in a single playoff run. And that list, by the way, of course, includes the GOAT Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, who we forget is the greatest quarterback going right now. I know the Jets stuff. I lived through it. I was there. Vikings stuff, the big game. I get that. This will all be a part of his memoir, okay? But I feel like it's almost distracting from how unbelievably good as a quarterback he has been and is right now. So I don't know if we talked about New York a little bit in the back, but we're done. I don't know the Vikings big game, done. Let's let those accomplishments that we just outlined sort of like stand on their own, and let's relish in that as we celebrate his appearance in a Super Bowl. Ooh, I just gave myself goosebumps thinking about that. I'm so excited for him. We're going to hear, of course, from someone who he's going up against who wants to ruin his day in K'Lavon Chaisson in a little bit. You'll see that interview. Here's what I'll give it my thing on the Seattle side for you to chew on this weekend is that Sam Darnold is a top 10 quarterback by skill in a vacuum and for 2026 season, no matter what happens. So there's that. On the Patriots side of the aisle, the makeup, like the I don't even know how to say it, like the DNA, whatever you want to say, like this is a top 5 defense we know is already amazing. For them to do that in a rebuilding year, yeah. This thing that really sticks out to me that you need to think about this weekend and going into that game, 10 of the Patriots' 11 starters were not full-time starters for this defense a year ago. And I think that is like a little bananas. And it really speaks to, and it's kind of like in a poetic way, like Mike Vrabel. Like if I could write a haiku like that, I would just put that stat in the entire 579 of the entire thing. Because this is like all formed in his likeness, in his image. Let me explain. 25 years ago, Vrabel was cut by the Steelers. After 3 years in Pittsburgh without a single start under his belt, the Patriots took a chance on him, and he immediately becomes a centerpiece, an icon, like a critical piece of New England's first Super Bowl defense. And I think we're getting to a point where, actually I know it, I think Vrabel's a better coach than he was this player that you're seeing. He is a better coach than he was a 14-year, 3-time Super Bowl champion, all-pro player, which is bananas, right? When you look at this 2025 Pats defense, gosh, don't you see nothing but Vrabel? Christian Gonzalez, the only guy who was a full-time starter for this defense a year ago. And he hasn't been on the field the whole time. 7 of the guys you see here weren't even on the roster last season. 3 of those guys who were formerly undrafted, 3 who had never been on the team as a full-time starter before. And then, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, 2 guys who were released by their respective teams in March saying, we don't want you. They add friend of the show, K'Lavon Chaisson, on a 1-year, okay, like I see something in you, I got you. You'll hear how much K'Lavon loves his coach. It was a prove-it deal for him. He has more sacks this season than he had in his first 5 years in the NFL combined. That is a top 5 defense, and it's just the makeup of it is wild. If I say bananas again, someone shoot me. Like, I need to stop saying bananas on this program today. Gosh, I don't know that we've, well, maybe we have. You guys tell me. What other defense have you seen with this much, like, tumult the year before, revolving door, misfit, whatever, like, new pieces? So many new pieces. How do they have this much chemistry this season? I guess the answer to me would be the guy who's a better coach than he was a 3-time Super Bowl champion in Mike Vrabel. You got, like, what's going on? You know, Zach Kerr took over the play calling duties. You'll hear Terrell Williams, their coach, dealing with testicular cancer. They're playing for him. Like, there's so much adversity. There's so much going on. And I, by the way, was happy to hear there was an update yesterday that defensive coordinator Terrell Williams will make the trip to Santa Clara, which is beautiful. Sorry, it wasn't testicular cancer. It was prostate cancer that he's dealing with. But the team sort of rallying around him. I think he's clearly, you'll hear from K'Lavon, like, maybe like a heartbeat, like they're talking to him. He's inputting and being part of the, I think he's been in the building from what Chaisson was telling me. So we're wishing him, of course, the absolute best in his recovery. And it was like such a beautiful thing that he will be there in the Bay Area cheering on his squad.